Welcome to Daily Conversation. Okay,
This is Eric.
yeah, today is the 30th of October 2021, and the time now is 6:15 a.m. Well, today is a reading session, and we are going to continue reading the book Eat to Beat Disease. Alright, so before we get started, please click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Alright, so here we go. Chapter 3 Microbiome. In an age of ever-expanding identities, here is a new one. You're no longer simply human. You are a holobiont. The term holobiont describes an organism that functions as an assemblage of multiple species that are mutually beneficial. You are a holobiont because your body is not a single entity, but rather a highly complex ecosystem including 39 trillion bacteria, mostly good, teeming inside and on your body's surface. These bacteria are plentiful. Their quantity roughly matches that of your own cells, about 37 trillion, and combined they weigh about 3 pounds, the equivalent heft of your brain. They are amazingly hardy, resisting stomach acid and the chemical cauldron of your intestine.
While the medical community once thought of microorganisms as nasty disease vectors that should be scrubbed off, s- steril- sterilized, and killed with antibiotics, we now know that the majority of bacteria within our body work in highly sophisticated ways to defend our health and even influence our behavior. Far from being passive squatters, healthy bacteria, collectively called the microbiome, form a complex biological system that interacts with your cells and organs in many ways. This system also includes fungi, viruses, and microorganisms known as archaeas. But bacteria will be the focus of the chapter.
Okay, the last second line. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think there are two pronunciation for this word, which is fungi or fungi. Yeah, so it's both okay. We are learning more every day from researchers around the world about microbiome and how it fosters health and even helps to conquer diseases like cancer. Some gut bacteria like Lactobacillus plantarum, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and Bacillus my, mycoides have endocrine and hormonal functions and can even produce and release brain neurotransmitters such as oxytocin, serotonin, GABA, Y aminobutyric acid, and dopamine. These chemicals activate brain signals that profoundly influence our mood. Some bacteria release metabolites that can protect us against diabetes. Others control the growth of abdominal fat. One type of gut bacteria, bifidobacteria, was shown to reduce stress and anxiety through a unique gut-brain interaction. Our bacteria influence angiogenesis, stem cells, and immunity. They can even influence our hormones, sexual fitness, and social behavior. They can nurture our human cells, or they can irritate and inflame them. Our microbiota can make the difference between life and death, between developing a serious disease or resisting it.
Okay, the first four lines
Oh,
and big words. This is pronounced endocrine and you pronounce endocrine.
oh, okay. Endocrine.
And the last six line
Mm,
and the fourth vocab,
yeah.
you pronounce bifidobacteria.
Mm.
I would like to check with you where you get the pronunciation.
This one I couldn't get the phonetic symbol, but I tried to uh I get it right. I tried to just directly find from the I forgot the website, and I think this phonetic symbol I copy from that pronunciation, and especially for the first syllable I'm quite sure it is pronounced as by, it's not b.
Really? What's the website? Is it a pronunciation website, like the dictionary website, or
It is like uh yeah, I forget already. Let me see. It is not from dictionary, I think. Yeah, so I get from my dictionary apps, and it is pronounced as bifidobacteria.
mm, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I checked from I checked from YouTube.
Mm.
Yeah, because this is a technical term,
Yeah.
so I I try to see whether there's any scientist from a video we should talk
Mm-mm.
about this bifidobacteria, and it did. Yeah, it did have.
Yeah.
So I try to see how they pronounce. They
Mm.
pronounce bifidobacteria.
Oh, bifido.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is I also not sure. Maybe there are two pronunciations, and
Mm.
different scientists also pronounce in difference. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
only check one. I didn't check. I didn't check like three or four to confirm whether the actual pronunciation.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I
Oh,
think it is safe to follow the scientists. So it's bifidobacteria.
yeah.
Okay.
Food has food has an aston astonishing ability to influence these powers of the microbiome. After all, our bacteria eat what we eat. They meta they metabolize the food and drink we consume and create beneficial or harmful byproducts that influence our health. But before but before we delve into the specifics how foods influence bacteria, I want to share with you what we are learning about these helpful colonies in our body. There's surprising new research about where they come from and what they do. This is an emerging medical revolution that is harnessing the untapped power of the microbiome defense system in our body to prevent and treat disease.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Microbiome. Microbiome.
Yeah, I think for the words microbiome, the last word, the last syllables that you pronounce is microbiome, right?
Mm-mm.
So I think maybe the last syllables is unnecessary.
Yeah, this one I also not sure because
Oh,
I remember I'm not sure whether I check it from YouTube or
mm,
I check from elsewhere. Yeah.
yeah.
Initially I also pronounced my microbiome.
Mm. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Really, because there are too many technical terms, and also
Uh,
sometimes I get confused.
yeah. Wait a minute.
Mm.
I try to check very very fast.
Yeah, a quick search, right?
Yes. Yeah. It should pronounce microbiome. Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
The relationship between humans and bacteria, good and bad. Humans evolved together with bacteria on this planet. At the dawn of Homo sapiens 300,000 years ago, our hunter-gatherer ancestors ate what they could forage: ancient grains, nuts, legumes, and fruits, all of which contain the high amounts of fiber on which microbes thrive. Food was handpicked from bacterial laden soil and vegetation. So every bite of remote ancestors swallowed was loaded with microbes from the environment that entered their gut. Even after the first agricultural revolution of 10,000 BC, when humans moved away from hunting and gathering to rely on cultivated foods, the staple ingredients remained mostly plant-based. This dietary pattern, high in the fiber that microbes consume and full of bacteria from the environment, shaped our bodies for survival during evolution.
As closely as our destinies were intervened for most of history, humans had no idea that bacteria even existed, let alone had knowledge of the role that healthy bacteria plays inside our bodies. But over the last few centuries, science has transformed our understanding. of how bacteria contribute to both disease and health. It started with disease. In the early days of the field of microbiology, most of what we learned about bacteria focused on bad bacteria, but with good reason. After all, throughout history, devastating epidemic swept the world, indis- indiscriminately killing most everyone in their path. During the Dark Age, during the Dark Ages, dreaded diseases such as ty- typhoid, fever, plague, plague, dysentery, and leprosy were rampant, bringing suffering and death to untold millions. Doctors of the time only had theories about the causes of these diseases. They had even less idea that the unsanitary conditions around them allowed the bacteria to spread. During those times, in most communities around the world, feces, urine, rancid food, and pests all mixed together in the home and in the street, creating ubiquitous cesspool that allow bacterial swarms to flourish and spread.
Yeah, first line. Yeah, this word I think is
Interwine.
intertwine, and you pronounce as intervene.
Okay. Interwine.
And then the last second line from the bottom, yeah, which is this word, the last three words. And okay, this one is, let me check.
Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. And I forgot how you pronounce, but it seems like the qui here. Yeah, you didn't pronounce qui.
Okay. Ubiquitous.
Yeah. One of Madison's eureka moments came in 1861 during a epidemic of high maternal, maternal, maternal mortality rates in Vienna. A shocking number of women were dying of infection after delivering babies in one particular obstetric clinic. Ignaz Semmelweis, a doctor at the clinic, noticed a pattern. Doctors delivering babies whose mothers died were moving directly from the morgue, where they conducted conducted autopsies on the dead women, back to the delivery suite, where they attended to the next mother in labor. Semmelweis wondered, could whatever had killed the deceased women be traveling back with their doctors to claim new victims? He developed a novel idea. Doctors should scrub their hands with an antiseptic solution between autopsies and deliveries to clean off the threat. It worked. But maternal mortality rates from infection plummeted to the single digit.
Semmelweis' discovery was a critical moment in the development of sanitary medical procedures. In the next major milestones, Joseph Lister, namesake of the mouthwash, cau- cautions that hand-washing was not nearly enough. All sur- surgical instruments also had to be sterilized in a chemical solution. The result was a reduction of gangrene after surgery. Innovations such as these led to the high standards of sanitization and sterilization in hospitals, operating theaters, and doctors' offices that we take for granted today, and they continue to save millions of lives.
Yet, there was an unintended consequence. The more that people learn how to control and eliminate bacteria that could lead to infection, the more pervasive became the idea that all bacteria were harmful. Thus, launched the era of germophobia that continues to this day. Most of us grew up scrubbing off, sterilizing, and avoiding bacteria everywhere we could. The familiar message of bacteria being bad and needing to be destroyed with antibiotics permeated, permeated public health and public consciousness. Disinfectants, hand sanitizers, and antimicrobial soaps became household items. In our food system, pesticides, pasteurization, and antibiotics for livestock became widespread, killing bacteria everywhere. In fact, the antibiotic revolution completely changed modern medicine, largely eliminating the destructive epidemics of the past by putting life-saving bacterial killing power in the hands of doctors, hospitals, and public health offices around the world.
Quietly, however, science has been making counterintuitive discoveries. Some bacteria actually confer life-saving health benefits. As early as 1907, one prominent one prominent Russian zoo- zoologist zoologist Ilya Mechn- Mech- Mechnikov began to question if the all bacteria are bad. Octo- octotoxide might be poor. During the cholera epidemic of 1892 in France, Mechnikov mixed bacteria together in a petri petri dish and found that some bacteria could stimulate cholera cholera growth, but to his surprise found that other bacteria hindered it. This led him to speculate whether swallowing some types of helpful bacteria might be useful for preventing deadly diseases. He was only struck by the fact that some people live in a ripe old age despite harsh rural conditions and poor hygiene associated with poverty. In, in Bulgaria, we noted there was in Bulgaria, he noted there were peasants and the Caucasus Mountains would live beyond 100 years. He observed that the oldest villagers were drinking fermented yogurt containing the bacteria like lac- lactobacillus lactobacillus bulgaricus. Mechanico suggested that one secret to longevity is consuming healthy bacteria. History would prove him right, and would also see him win the 1908 Nobel Prize for his pioneering work on immunity.
Yeah, the third line, yeah, this word, which is you pronounce as zoologist and zoologist. So the pronunciation should be zoologist.
Okay, zoologist.
Zoologist. Yeah, and then the next page, the third line, first word. Yeah, this one should be peasant, and you pronounce as peasants.
Okay, peasant.
The science of the microbiome. Today, the microbiome is recognized as one of the most exciting and disruptive areas of medical research. It's a fast-growing field. In the year 2000, there were only 74 articles published on the microbiome. In 2017, more than 9,600 research articles emerged. The science is advancing so swiftly, there's no way to boil it all down to a few take-home points. Entire encyclopedias will be written about our bacterial selves, and the knowledge will transform how we understand our health, as well as the practice of medicine, public health policy, and the ways that the food supplement, pharmaceutical, and diagnostic, diagnostic testing industries produce future products.
The last second line, the last third vocab,
Yeah,
this is pronounced diagnostic. You pronounce diagnostic.
diagnostic.
Mm.
Okay.
I'm choosing to highlight the insights from current cutting-edge research that will help you make better food decisions today. To make things easier, when I describe foods and the bacteria they influence, I'm only going to name a few selected bacteria associated with the health benefits. These deliberate simplifications of a highly complicated field will help you become familiar with the microbiomes and not be overwhelmed with bacterial taxonomy and the science of metagenomics.
Just as if you were going to the zoo for the first time, my advice is that you focus on getting the main points of the feature attractions rather than trying to memorize the details of every animal on display. Latin names of bacteria are tongue-twisting and difficult to remember, but get used to them because they are actually part of who you are, and it's certain in the future the names of helpful bacteria will become so familiar, children in grade school will know them.
Actinobacterial, bacteroid disease, Firmicutes, Firmicutes, Lactobacillus, Proteobacterial. These are some of the names you will read here, but they are just the beginnings. The number of bacteria species worldwide is estimated to be more than 1 billion. The vast majority have no direct relationship with humans, but many other varieties have evolved to thrive within our own bodies. There are more than 1,000 known species of gut bacteria. More than 500 species of bacteria have been found in human mouth, with any individual's mouth commonly containing 25 species or more. A milliliter of saliva, about 1/5 of a teaspoon, contains up to 100 million oral bacteria. There's a population almost 3 times larger than the Tokyo metropolitan area. 37 million people in one swallow.
To unravel the mysteries of the human microbiome, the National Institutes of Health launched the Human Microbiome Project in 2008. Inspired by Human Genome Project, the project published a landmark paper in the prestigious scientific journal Nature in 2012, documenting the bacteria of the microbiome of 242 individuals. The study examined multiple sites on the body of each volunteer. Over multiple occasions, the body sites probed included mouth, nose, skin, gut, and genital tract. The researchers found that the microbiome diversity was enormous. Not only did individuals vary greatly in the number and diversity of species in their microbiomes, but the bacteria present in different sites from the same individual's body also varied greatly. No single group of bacteria was universal to everybody, even among healthy individuals.
The first line, the second vocab, how do you pronounce it?
Unravel.
Okay, yeah, 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 I think I hear wrongly, yeah.
Okay.
In the eighth line, the last third vocab, I hear you
Species or
pronounce,
species? I forgot.
uh, I no, I hear you pronounce species, but actually this is species. So
Oh,
the C here is should be the sh sound, not the S sound.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it should be species. Species.
Mm.
Okay.
Microbiome diversity is an important hallmark of health. As with human communities, the diversity of our bacterial ecosystem brings strength and more effective collaborations to protect health. The more numerous and diverse bacteria we have, the healthier we become. Like like a dazzling coral reef that, that thrives with many species living in close proximity. The, microbi- the microbiome is an ecosystem that depends upon the, the delicate balance of community members tolerating each other and working together on behalf of our health.
Our microbiome influences our health in many ways, including through the substances they produce as they process food passing through our gut. The best known substances are actually bacterial metabolites known as short-chain fatty acids, SCFA. These are the byproducts of bacterial digestion of plant-based fiber. Incidentally, when you hear the term prebiotic, it's often referring to this dietary fiber that feeds the bacteria that produce SCFAs. SCFAs have been found to have an amazing array of health functions. They protect the gut as well as your overall health through their anti-inflammatory properties, and they have the ability to improve our body's ability to metabolize glucose, glucose and lipids. SCFAs also improve immunity, guide angiogenesis, and aid stem cells. As a connection between four of your health defense system, both lactobacillus and bifidobacteria are considered beneficial because they produce SCFAs.
The three major SCFAs, pro- propionate, butyrate, and acetate, each play a unique role in the body. Propionate, for instance, can lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, protect against buildup of the atherosclerotic plaque in arteries, and improve digestive health. It also activates immune cells. Butyrate is a main form of energy for gut cells in the colon, and it promotes a healthy colon, as well as having anti-inflammatory effects. It also stimulates angiogenesis to nurture wound healing, and it guides stem cells to morph into different types of organs. Acetate is released into peripheral tissues where it stimulates lectins, which suppresses hunger.
Yeah, the last second line from the bottom. This is leptin, and you pronounce as leptin.
Okay. Leptin.
Other microbiome metabolites can also foster health. The bacterial Lactobacillus plantarum, for example, produces metabolites that stimulate an inflammatory response by intestinal stem cells. This can quiet irritation in the gut and set the stage for intestinal healing. In studies of kimchi, the spicy fermented fermented Korean condiment contains Lactobacillus plantarum, which has been discovered to produce a bacterial product that protects against influenza A infection. Lignans are plant polyphenols that serve as prebiotics. They are metabolized by the gut microbiome to produce bioactives known as enteroidal and enterolactin. These have been shown to suppress the development of breast cancer. P-cresol and hippurate are also metabolites made in the gut that reduce stress and anxiety. They can be enhanced by eating chocolate. Researchers from the University of Eastern Finland found that a diet rich in whole grains and fiber causes bacteria to produce in indolepropionic acid, another metabolite that protects against type 2 diabetes.
There's a flip side. Some substances made by our microbiome can be toxic, so our goal should be to limit their production. For instance, bacteria such as dis- dissolved Brio manufacture hydrogen sulfide, a compound that smells like rotten eggs, which is normally found in volcanoes and hot springs. Hydrogen sulfide is highly toxic to our gut when it's made by dissolved Vibrio. It damages the gut lining that normally seals in food and waste content from the rest of the body. The damage makes the intestines leaking like perforating a wet soup, making it easier for food particles and waste from inside the intestines to leak out. Leaking food particles cause an inflammatory reactions around the gut that can generate allergies can generate allergic like reactions to food and even spark colitis. colitis. Not surprisingly, bacteria that produce hydrogen sulfide are found in the stools of patients with inflammatory bowel disease.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where we stop today.
Okay.
All right, so how about I make a summary for
Yeah.
today's part? Okay, yeah, firstly, today's is about the microbiome, which is actually kind of the bacterial. And for human is a very complicated organism. And in our body, we have so many bacteria, and it is roughly the amount of our cells in the body. Yep, and then also this kind of bacteria defend our health, and as well as the other four defense system. And then not only on the health part, and actually this kind of bacterial can also affect our behavior, and also maybe our mood, our feeling. And then yeah, for the part that it influence our mood, and firstly it affects our brain. Yeah, and then after that this uh, become something that influence our mood. And then um, yeah, the bacteria in our bodies, and then some of them release metabolites, and this can help to deal with the to prevent the diabetes. And then for the uh, for the bacteria that affect our gut, and also they call it the gut-brain interaction. Yeah, which is I think is something like the bacteria can affect our brain, and also the bacteria can affect our gut, and then the brain and the gut are interact with each others, and then for this it results in the stress and anxiety. So some of our stress and anxiety is maybe is due to the bacterial inside, how they process. And then yeah, this is one part, and then the other part is talk about the history of microbiome, and which is a few thousands years ago. And then our ancients, they consume foods which is rich in the fiber, and then they are mostly plant-based. Yeah, and then from this kind of food source, and then there are a lot of bacterial. So in the history, maybe from very long time ago, our ancients consume many bacterial. Yeah, this kind of bacterial is with the plant-based food. And yeah, so this is maybe can explain why our bodies has got so many different kinds of bacteria. And then these kind of bacteria uh, are not all bad. Some of them are good, and then they kind of creating a balance in our body and keep us healthy. And however, people actually at that time, and they have no idea about the uh, about the presence of bacteria. They don't know about this because they couldn't see it. They couldn't. They don't even know there is this kind of thing. And then this is when until 19th centuries, yeah, in a clinic which is called the obstetric clinic, which the babies were uh, the babies were born. And then yeah, in that clinic they found that uh, the women, uh, some of the or I should say many of the women die after delivering babies. And then one of them found that actually the reason is because once they were women die, and then they took the women's body to conduct autopsy, and then after this autopsy, and then they go back to work, so that because the dead body maybe contains many bad or harmful bacteria, so that when the doctors come back to serve the next patient, and then this kind of bacteria infect uh, can be infected by the patients. Yeah, so they found that maybe they need to kind of like to use the antiseptic to wash their hand. Also, yeah, and this work, and they found that the death rate uh, reduced a lot. Yeah, and after that, the other kind of the I forgot a scientist or a doctor, and then they suggest that not only washing their hand, also for all those equipment, yeah, in the clinic, in the hospital, need to be sterilized, and then this is also something I think uh, what we were doing, yeah, until today. And then yeah, after that, after we have some idea of bacterial, and firstly, people think that all bacterials are bad, and then what they do is like trying to kill all the bacteria, and then um, until like 20 centuries, uh, one of the zoologists uh, kind of like suggest that not all bacteria are bad. And then in one of his experiments, it is like they found that some of the bacteria can help to stop the cholera growth. It is one of the disease. And then but some others can kind of like uh, promotes the growth. So from that experiment, he found that bacteria can be bad and can be good to human. Yep. And then yeah, I think these are my summaries for today.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. The first thing. Uh. Yeah. Okay. Your summary is really really great, and I just want to uh make a few very important point. And yeah, because for I think for us we can't really remember everything.
Yeah,
And the
really.
first is there are a lot of microorganisms, and we have bacteria, we have viruses, and viruses is all bad. Yeah. and and bacteria can be good or can be bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, so this is the first thing. And in the past, we don't know about the bacteria. We don't even know about the microorganism because we don't the microscope haven't been invented,
mm,
and we can't see it. We can't feel it, we can't touch it. And but there's one doctor which is in a clinic. He found actually previously the the birth rate is actually very very low, and uh, the women have a very high chance to die in in the process of giving birth.
mm,
And the doctor is very very intelligent, and then he found a trend. He found a regularity, which he
yeah,
found that some doctor which when they handle when they deal with the dead people, and they didn't wash their hands after uh, before before go to aid the woman to give birth the child, and for those women have high chance, have very high chance uh, to die. And so actually I also read the story from elsewhere from many ways. Yeah.
Mm.
And the doctor first he do some experiment by himself. He try first. Yeah. And actually at that time uh it is quite uh unethical. Yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
because at that time no one even know about microorganism. There's nothing to prove it. Yeah. And so he tests by himself first, and then and after that he found that yeah, it is true. It is even though we don't know uh what's the reason behind, what's the rationale behind. But if we keep doing if we keep washing hand, if we form this habit washing hand before we help the woman give birth, and then the death rate will decrease. Yeah. And he advised this thing to his clinic, but actually the clinic refused to change,
Oh.
and all the doctor refused to change. And then
Mm.
so he go to another clinic, and he kind of like not becoming he kind of like not a doctor anymore. He become like a promoter.
Yeah.
uh he become like the uh voice speaker to
Mm.
to kind of like to speak, and then to promote the idea of washing hand before doing a surgery,
Mm.
before like give birth, before before doing any surgery.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And but no one listened to him. Yeah. Only after the invention of the microscope, and people start to believe him. Yeah. And based on our current reading session,
Yeah.
the William Lee, the doctor, also say that yeah, even after the invention of microscope, and all doctor and all the scientists think that bacteria is bad. Yeah, so we kind of like invent some product to kill the bacteria
Mm. Yeah.
all together together with the viruses. Mm. And but one of the zoologists found that uh, some bacteria can actually mm, can actually kind of like stop or maybe like the slow down, reduce the growth of the uh, cholera, yeah, which is one of the deadly disease
Mm.
in many decades ago. This is also like kind of like one of the one of the uh, 肺炎, yeah, uh,
Oh.
which is similar to the COVID-19. Yeah, yeah, but the death rate is higher, but the infection rate is lower.
Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, and so after that, scientists and doctors start to reframe their mind, just like they reframe their mind that's actually which is the bacteria actually did exist. So they
Mm.
reframe their mind that yeah, bacteria can be good or can be bad. Yeah, and and yeah, normally how they grow the good bacteria is actually through the fermentations. Yeah. So yeah, of course, you have few other ways to grow the bacteria, but one of the most convenient and effective way is through the fermentation. Yeah. And so and also we can find a lot of good bacteria in in our uh uh daily product. Uh, a daily meal, which is like one of the most common one is the yogurt, and
Yeah.
another is kimchi, which is
Mm.
very popular in Korea. So those are the fermented foods. Yeah, and mm, yeah, so this is what I want to make a summary. And yeah, one of the thing which is worth to highlight,
Yeah.
and but it is uh, not not really related to this reading session, is about the history. Yeah, and no matter it is in the medical uh, medications, no matter it's in medication, no matter it is in like the our physics, our astro uh, astrologies, uh, uh, astrology, sing I forget the Chinese is called the 星象学 or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
astrology. And yeah, human behave the same. Yeah, initially they don't believe you, and and when you make uh one of the speech, and one of the thing that they don't believe, and they and they can't imagine, and they think you are wrong, and everyone will against you.
Mm.
Yeah, and they'll put you to the to the electric chair, which is like kind of like want you to die. Yeah,
Mm.
so it
Yeah.
happened in many ways. It happens. This kind of history repeats a lot. Yeah.
Mm.
So mm, yeah. One of another history is the people, and I forget his name, but he say that uh our Earth is not the center. It's actually the sun is the center. But also at that time we don't have like the equipments, like just like the microscope to to kind of like to verify that, to falsify that. So yeah, and also another is some people also another people which is I think it's Colombo. Yeah,
Mm.
Colombo, and he he say that our Earth is not flat. Our Earth should be something like the uh sphere.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, something like spheres uh shape, like
Like a ball,
like a
right?
ball. Yeah, like a ball. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So also no one believed him. Hmm. Yeah. So yeah. So this is our human history.
Mm. Yeah, it is like people, those people, they identify something, they discover something, but it is too hard to imagine, and then that creates some chaos and also confusion to people, right? And then they kind of punish them and stop them from spreading rumors.
Yeah.
Mm. Yep, and then for the part of the surgery, yeah, it reminds me of also one of an article that I read from elsewhere, and it is also about the surgery. And but for that one, it is quite modern. Yeah, it is. I think is like maybe 100 years ago, or or maybe within 100 years. The cases is like it's like this, and um, in one of the hospital, and then one of the doctor found that um, after after the surgery, in many cases, and then the patient, firstly, the surgery is kind of they call it successful, and then maybe after a few weeks, they found that not all the patients recover well, and some of them actually get infected. Yeah, they got the infections, and then they came back, and then they don't feel well, they got fever, and then yeah, this is the infection symptoms. And the doctors kind of found that in the hospital, in the surgery room, and then not all the doctors wear the mask. Yeah, just the mask. And then some of them didn't wear the mask. And then they found that this doctor found that this could be the problem. And then this doctor after that he actually wrote a book, yeah, talking about this, and the title is something like the list, the what's the list, the checklist, yeah, the checklist, which is something like you need to write some uh, simple routines, and then what you should do, maybe 10 things you should do before uh, starting a surgery, something like that. And then once doctor have done, and they maybe they tick one by one, and then he even conducted an experiment in one of the hospital, and then he promote the checklist, and then doctor have to do that because that is an experiment. And after like 9 months or how many months, and then he found that actually the rate of infections, the patient infections after surgery reduced a lot. Yeah, really a lot. And then what are those things in the checklist? Those are simple things. For example, they have to wear a mask before the surgery and during the surgery, and maybe like they have to wash their hand after doing this, and maybe they have to clean their tools after doing this step, something like that. And then those are very simple things, and all the doctors must have known it. But it doesn't mean that all of us will follow what we know every time. And then this author also found that in other areas, in other industry, for example, in the the pilot, and also for the uh, I suddenly forgot the term, architects, yeah, and also for some other jobs, they have this kind of checklist. Therefore, for example, the pilot, yeah, what they have to do, they will do it, and then they will mark the checklist one by one, what step they have done, and then to ensure the safety of the flight. So how about for doctors? Yeah, this is something also dealing with our life, but we don't have a checklist. So this author actually promotes the list for doctors. And also there is one kind of like the interview, or kind of like the research done by this author. He go to the one of the hospital, and then he asked the doctor. I'm not sure whether this hospital is the same that he did the experiment. He asked the doctor, the surgery doctor, and then they are called a surgeon. And they asked them whether uh, they want to have a list, the checklist, um, for during the surgery. Yeah, and the doctors actually kind of like I forgot the numbers. It's like more than half. The majority of doctors find that the list is something inconvenient. They don't like to use it. They found that it is like a troublesome to them. They don't want it. And after this question, and then there is another question for the for them, which is like, if you were the patient, not the doctor, if you were the patient to be to go for a surgery, and then do you like a hospital that has a checklist? Yeah, and the doctors do the checklist one by one for their steps, and then it is like more than 80% of them uh, they want to have a checklist. So we can see that maybe this is something like um, a selfish uh, this is maybe is because of selfish, I think, and also because you want to make a change, and the doctors find that it is it is something like a burden to them. Yeah, so they have more work to do, so they don't want to make a change. But actually, some of the small things is very important. And for the story that I share is about also the infection. Maybe it's due to the bacteria, right? Because they didn't wear the mask, and maybe the our saliva will go into the bodies of the patients when we speak.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it really is. So in a lot of area, in a lot of industry, actually you just need to do one simple thing, and it can change a lot of people's life. It can save a lot of people's lives, or it can maybe increase the productivities. Mm.
Mm.
So, but we find hard to follow it,
Yep.
and some people also find hard to promote it. Mm.
Mm.
And just just like just like the doctor uh, suggests to wash your hand before doing the surgery, and actually washing hand is very easy, right? Mm.
Mm. Yep.
And just like when your hand is dirty, maybe you're having food, you're having dinner, or you actually go to toilet, and maybe your urine spread to your hand. You also wash your hand. So it
Mm.
is a very easy thing. Mm. And but why a lot of people against it? Mm. Maybe this is not just because of inconvenience. This is because of the kind of like they feel being offended, because they are also professional, and
Mm.
you kind of like suggest that we do such a little very very easy thing, and then we can save life. It's unbelievable, and this is and they also uh they mm, they try themselves not to believe in these things.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, because the doctor should be uh the occupation or the persons, the group of people really want to save people life, because what they do is really save people life.
Mm.
Yeah, but why why a simple move? Just test it. Yeah, just test it a few months, 3 months, 6 months, and you wash hand before before doing the surgery. You wear mask. You wear the glove before you go into a surgery. Mm, yeah. Uh, it doesn't cost you a lot of time, and also it may cost you some inconvenience. And but it actually can save life. Why? I mean, if it actually can have a possibility or have the probability to save life,
Mm.
why not you try it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and try to imagine, is it occur in medication? Is occur in the doctor?
Mm.
Yeah. How about other area? For example, what is it called, the uh uh okay, what I want to say is about the like something like the airplanes architect, yeah, or maybe like the building architect.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this how about this other area? How about like the food production? How
Mm.
about like the constructions, the the building construction?
Mm.
Yeah, the house you live daily.
Yeah.
How about other areas? They are not dealing with the people life primarily. But
Mm.
the doctor is a group of people dealing with the people lives daily,
Yep.
and they, yeah, based on human nature, they also can behave like this. How about other occupation?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it can also in some sense highlight how important the ritual, or how important the system.
Mm. Yep.
Okay,
A
so do you
routine
have
one.
yeah. So do you have anything want to add in?
Yeah, maybe not for today. Yep.
Okay, so that's all for our today conversation. How do you feel? Did you enjoy the conversations? Please tell us what you think about our conversation. And we are not native speakers. If you found any vocabulary mistake that we made, please also comment to let us know. Because we want to learn more and improve ourselves. Remember to like and subscribe to us. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.